Good evening, church. I had to think about that because I'm pre-recording this, and so I had to think if it was morning or evening. But it is evening for you guys. I'm going to be doing devotional today, as you can obviously tell, and lately I just got done doing a series called Building with the Basics. If you haven't seen those, you can go back, you can rewatch them. We have all of them saved. It's just all the ones with my face on it because I was the ones doing it. But last time I was here, I started a new series called Storytime with Connor. And the reason I started that is because I want to go over some stories, mostly that are the stories that we read to the kids usually, and we make it funny, we make it cute. I went over Noah and the Ark last time, and when we tell the kids that story, it's all about the 2x2 animals and the lions, and he took the tigers and the bears, oh my, but he was okay. And they make it silly just so that we can help them remember it. But if you remember, I also said that I've gotten more out of that story as an adult, going through and rereading it, than I ever have when I was a kid. And so I went and I talked about some specific details that we oftentimes skip over because it's not really important for the kids, but it can be more important in our advanced Christianity. And so today I'm not going over a specific Bible story, but it is a story nonetheless, and it is a story about something that is happening way too much to Christians, to us, to America, and it needs to stop. And it's not very political, I know. I don't want you guys to think that. I want to tell you the story of Pastor Jeremiah Stepek. Pastor Jeremiah Stepek was about to be inducted as the head pastor of a 10,000 people megachurch. To give you an example, our sanctuary I think holds like 200, I think, something around there, and that's if we got really not COVID close. 10,000. This is huge. This is a mega church. That's 1/5 of the city of Albany. So the day that he was going to be inducted, the old head pastor was going to bring him on stage. This is your new pastor. It was going to be a very good ceremony. But he wanted to do something a little different. See, Pastor Jeremiah disguised himself as a very stereotypical homeless person. He put on a very fake, grizzly, grimy, oily beard. He put on some old raggedy clothes that looked dirty. In fact, he probably just rubbed them in the dirt. And he put a little bit of dirt on his face, made it look like he hadn't taken a shower in a while. And he just really wanted to play the part of a very stereotypical homeless person. And he came in that day, and he recorded that of the 7,000 to 10,000 people who were coming in and getting seated for that specific Sunday, he counted 3, who even acknowledged his presence. They said hi. And then he said he counted more up to 70 to 75 people who he either visually or audibly could tell made a disgusted notion towards him, either an audible ew or a visual look of disgust. In this church of 7,000 to 10,000, 3 said hi, 70 openly showed their disgust towards this homeless-looking man being in their church. He proceeded to go and try to talk to people, oftentimes getting the cold shoulder, getting turned away, getting the very stereotypical 1-2 word answers. He asked for money, in which case no one gave him anything. He was actually asked by the ushers if he would sit towards the back as to not cause any commotion by being in the front seats. And so, as the service went on, and the old pastor was about to announce him, "I give you Pastor Jeremiah Stepek." Everyone looked around in commotion, looking for where the new pastor would be, assuming he would be in the front seat. But they didn't see anybody stand up. And after they had searched for a while, they started to look behind them, and they see this homeless-looking man stand up and walk towards the pulpit. Some automatically bowed their heads in shame. Some kind of tried to act as if maybe they weren't part of the problem. But everyone felt the level of uncomfortability that hit that day. He walks up to the pulpit. He pulls out his Bible, phone, and he simply says this. He goes, Matthew 25:40. And the king will reply, truly I tell you, whatever you did for one of the least of these brothers and sisters, you have done for me. They will say, and then he will say to those, depart from me, you are cursed into eternal fire prepared for the devil and his angels. For I was hungry, and you gave me nothing. I was thirsty, and you gave me nothing to drink. I was a stranger, and I was not invited in. I needed clothes, and no one clothed me. I was sick and in prison, and you did not look after me. He put the Bible down, and he said, I'll see you next Sunday. And he walked out of the church. Nobody got up. The band didn't start to play. Everyone stood there in utter shock, in disbelief, and shame of what had happened. As Christians, we need to guard our hearts from turning into the stereotype that we claim to protect. As Christians, we're called to give. We're called to care for. We're called to be better than just the average Joe. We're called to rise up. And we have to be careful that we do not become the stereotype that we claim we're not. And we have to be careful that we don't let the negative nature of others affect our giving nature. We have to make sure. I've heard it all, guys. I've been to the meetings. I've been to when somebody will ask for money and it's, well, you can't. And then when you ask why, it's because, oh, they're just going to take from us and they're going to continue to take. And but to that, I have to respond with, yeah, you're right. Most likely, if you give, they might try to come back and take more. But why is their selfish nature switching our nature to selfishness also? When we're called to give, we're called to care for. We're not called to judge. We're not called to try to determine if they're worthy to be cared for. We're called to care for. And so, guys, let's practice. Let's practice giving to the least of these. Because as we give unto them, we are giving unto Christ. That's all I have for you today, folks. I want you to meditate on that. I want you to pray on that. That's Matthew 25:40. It's more throughout. It's expanded throughout Matthew 25. I believe it starts more towards 30 and goes till about 50. But 40 is when the what you have done for the least of these you have done for me part hits. And that's what I want us to meditate on this week until Pastor gives us on Sunday something new to meditate over. So, until then, have a great week. If you need prayer, please contact me, contact Ashley, contact Pastor, or like I always say, contact whoever the Lord is laying on your heart to have pray for you. No matter who that is. If it's somebody who you haven't seen in a month, or week, a year, but you feel like, man, I want them to pray for me, contact them and ask them to pray for you, because God has a reason for putting that person on your heart. But beyond that, have a good rest of your week. I know I'm going to.